England women chasing victory against South Africa at the ICC Women's T20 World Cup.
Sharjah Cricket Stadium. You know, a close game always makes for an exciting match. But this deep dive, well, this is where the real story unfolds, trust me. We're going beyond the scorecard today, you know.
Oh.
We're going to break down the tactics, the pivotal partnerships, and a captain's cool under pressure. Plus, I found a stat about successful chases in Sharjah. It'll make your jaw drop, especially in women's T20 eyes. Stay tuned for that.
Well, what's fascinating here is how England completely flipped the script with their bowling attack.
You're telling me 16 overs of spin bowling in a T20 match? That's almost unheard of. It's a format that's practically synonymous with pace. What was England thinking? They were thinking strategy. You see, Sharjah's pitch is known for being on the slower side. And England took full advantage. Instead of simply throwing their fastest bowlers at the problem, they used the conditions to their advantage.
So it's kind of like choosing the right club in golf. You wouldn't use a driver when you need a precise short game around the green.
Exactly. It's about adapting to the situation. And that's precisely what England did. And with Sophie Ecclestone leading the charge, she's got this deceptively simple approach to spin bowling.
Right. I read that quote where she talked about bowling straight and simple, and I thought, easy for you to say when you're ranked among the best.
Well, she makes it look easy, but what she's doing is anything but simple. It's about subtle variations, changes in pace and trajectory, and making the ball grip and turn just enough to deceive the batter. It's a real art form.
It's one thing to set the stage with clever bowling, but chasing a target in Sharjah, well, that's where things get really interesting. Remember that stat I mentioned earlier? The pressure is really on when you're batting second on that pitch.
Absolutely. There's a different kind of pressure that comes with chasing, especially in a World Cup match. Every run feels heavier. Every dot ball feels like an eternity.
So how did England manage to pull it off? It couldn't have been a cakewalk.
It wasn't. They had to dig deep and rely on some really well-executed partnerships. The Wyatt-Hodge partnership, for instance, was pivotal after losing a couple of early wickets. They steadied the ship and put on a crucial 64 runs.
64 runs in T20 is no joke. What made this partnership click?
Wyatt played quite aggressively, disrupting the rhythm of the South African spinners. Hodge, on the other hand, focused on rotating the strike, giving Wyatt more opportunities to score and keeping the scoreboard ticking. It was a great display of understanding the game situation.
Like they say, sometimes the best partnerships are about knowing when to push and when to support.
Exactly. And speaking of well-timed partnerships, the Cyber-Brunt and Knight combo toward the end was pure finesse. They steered England home with a mix of powerful hitting and strategic running between the wickets.
Cyber-Brunt seems to have a knack for delivering under pressure. What's remarkable about their approach, especially given the challenging pitch conditions?
Both Cyber-Brunt and Knight are incredibly adaptable players. They read the pace of the pitch, the movement in the air, and knew exactly when to attack, defend, or rotate the strike. Their running between the wickets was phenomenal, constantly putting pressure on the South African fielders. Every single run mattered in that chase.
It's like a chess match out there. Speaking of which, this brings us to Captain Heather Knight. Making a gutsy call with a spin-heavy attack is one thing. But to lead your team to victory under that pressure, that speaks volumes about her leadership. And it's Knight's leadership that really adds another layer to this victory. Her post-match interview really struck me. It wasn't just about the win. It was about how they won. You know, about the strategy behind it.
That's what separates good captains from great ones. Anyone can celebrate a win, but it's understanding the how and the why that allows for consistent success.
Exactly. And she specifically mentioned enjoying the tactical challenge of captaining a spin-heavy attack. She wasn't afraid to deviate from the expected, to trust her instincts and back her players.
And that confidence translates into results. Have you noticed her win record as captain? It's impressive, putting her right up there with some of the greats in women's T20 cricket.
Really? I knew she was good, but that good. Give me some stats.
Well, she's currently sitting on 68 wins as captain. To put that into perspective, that puts her in the same league as legends like Charlotte Edwards and Hermanpreet Kaur. And if you look at win-loss ratios, she's only surpassed by Meg Lanning, another incredible captain.
Wow, those are some impressive names to be mentioned alongside. It really highlights how Knight's leadership goes beyond just individual brilliance on the field. It's about making those strategic calls under pressure and inspiring a team to perform at their best. Now, about that stat I mentioned earlier, the jaw-dropping fact about chasing in Sharjah.
Yes, the infamous Sharjah pitch, historically known to be a batter's nightmare when chasing, especially in women's T20s.
Well, get this. England didn't just chase down the target. They set a new record in the process. The highest successful chase in a women's T20 international at Sharjah now belongs to them.
That's truly remarkable, and it speaks volumes about their mental strength and ability to adapt to challenging conditions. Remember, Sharjah's pitch is notorious for its slow and low nature, making it difficult to score freely. To achieve this feat against a quality side like South Africa is a testament to their resilience.
It's one thing to win, but to break records while doing it, that's something special. It's like they weren't just playing against South Africa, they were taking on history itself.
The previous record was set back in 2015. When Sri Lanka chased down 111 against Pakistan, England obliterated that record.
So there you have it. We've gone from a seemingly straightforward match report to a deep dive into England's strategic depth, Heather Knight's remarkable leadership, and a record-breaking performance in Sharjah. Who knew a single match could be so revealing?
It's amazing what you can uncover when you go beyond the surface, isn't it? It's not just about the what, but the how and the why.
Exactly. But here's a question for you to ponder as we wrap things up. England may be sitting pretty in their group now, but will this spin-heavy strategy be as effective against tougher opponents later in the tournament? Will they adapt? Something to think about. Until next time, this has been your deep dive into the fascinating world of women's cricket.